So I have actually two handouts. So I actually handle Wells Fargo short sales as well, but just the portfolio loans. Does everybody know the difference between a portfolio loan and an investor loan? No? Yes? Yes? So I have two handouts that I have at your tables. So this is like high school. Nobody wants to sit in the front, right? I promise I bathed today and I brushed my teeth. But, I want to be cognizant of our time. Michelle, how much time do we have?
20 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so while you're shuffling through your papers, introducing myself, I handle short sales for Northern California for Wachovia, which has now been absorbed by Wells Fargo. Okay, and originally I handled all the Wachovia loans. Now I actually handle all the Wells Fargo portfolio loans. Those are the loans that are actually on the balance sheet for Wells Fargo. So that's going to be covered in this presentation as well. So if you want to get this handout right here, okay, and I have another handout that I'm going to refer to if you have a Wachovia short sale. So hold on to that as well. But let's go through this one, and there's going to be some that I really just skimmed through, and there's others that I'm going to really concentrate on certain pages. I think Cheryl mentioned we have about 10 minutes for questions in the very end. So let me go through the presentations. We have a lot of information to go over, and then at the end we have an allotted amount of time to answer questions. And then I'll stick around if you have any detailed questions after the meeting as well. But the first page actually covers, for those of you who are big statistic buffs, okay, there's some statistics on the first page, and it covers delinquencies from 1991 to 2010, okay? I don't want to tell you what I was doing in 1991, but I was not doing short sales, okay? Anybody in here doing short sales in 1991? I don't want to embarrass anybody. Anybody? Bueller? Okay, couple. Okay, great. Okay, so there's a couple of you that have done short sales in 1991. Obviously, you see the trends, okay? It didn't really move much. Delinquencies, 2007, most of you guys can see a spike, and an increased spike, and it's currently increasing. It's gone down a little since 2009. But we're in a market, I'm actually really excited to see there's so many regular sales this morning. That was pretty exciting, but we still do have a lot of delinquencies out there, a lot of defaults within Wells Fargo and Wachovia, and so I want to address that. And then under that is some other statistics as well. If we go to the next page. Most of you guys have probably heard our portfolio presentation, and you're probably thinking, oh great, this guy again, I've heard him 2-3 times, blah, 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 blah. So I'm actually going to cover some of our investor transactions as well today, so hopefully it's some pertinent information that could help you better your business. And if you have questions, like I said, I'm going to give you guys all my cards. If you have personal questions or maybe your own transactions you want to ask me about, I can handle those as well. Wells Fargo's primary concern and obligation is to our customers and investors. Our goal is to exhaust all efforts to help customers remain in their homes through various workout options. So retention basically is our number one objective. We want to keep clients in their homes, okay? I have a question for you guys. Try to be interactive here. Do you guys know what probably the most pertinent hardship that occurs for a client? Anybody? Exactly. Unemployment or underemployment. In situations like that, if a client, you guys all familiar with HAMP? I've told you guys this before. I'm not a huge fan of acronyms. Do you guys like acronyms? We're going to discuss acronyms today. HAMP, HAFA, these secret codes that you have to be part of some club to understand these. But HAMP is Home Affordability Modification Process, and it's a government initiative that was implemented by the government to keep homeowners in their house. And there's certain guidelines that most of you guys know. We're talking short sales today, but just to give you an idea, that's our number one objective, is to get clients through that process. If they don't qualify for that process, an alternative to foreclosure, obviously we want to avoid foreclosure at all means, is HAFA and then our regular proprietary short sales as well. And so we're going to discuss that a little. So that's obviously our number one objective, but unfortunately, can I get questions at the very end? Thank you. Our number one objective is to do that, but unfortunately in a lot of cases, with people not having jobs and unemployment, it makes it difficult for these clients to qualify for loan modification. So if that's the case, the next step would be liquidation, which in all efforts would be a deed in lieu or a short sale. And by all attempts, we try to avoid foreclosure. We'll go to the next page. I just alluded to an alternative to foreclosure being a short sale. Benefits to short sales for customers. And you're going to have two types of customers. You're going to have customers that are really concerned with immediate benefits, right? Clients that care about today. How does this affect me today? And they're going to have other clients that are really concerned with their future benefits. For example, future home ownership, how my credit's going to be affected, and so forth. You guys are meeting with our clients, okay? So obviously our program that we implemented, those of you who've worked with me, the program that we implemented probably about, coming on 3 years now, was a program where most of you agents, I'd go to your guys' office, you guys didn't want to talk to me. Short sales, no thank you, right? Maybe some of you are still like that. Okay, can you be, I don't want to hear about short sales, I want to stay away from them. We try to implement through our portfolio loans and loans that we hold on our books, basically in our balance sheets. And I'm going to go over the difference between a portfolio as well as an investor and how many portfolio loans we have versus investor loans within Wells Fargo. But typically what we're able to do, since we're the decision makers, we're able to implement programs on our own. We don't have to worry about the government implementing programs. Obviously we have to follow those programs, but we can implement our own programs for our portfolio loans. And so they basically hired individuals like myself here in Northern California. There were 6 of us. And I went to your guys' office, and we were really trying to be proactive about short sales and really encourage you guys to work on our short sales, because at the time it was a huge deterrent to do short sales. Am I correct? Most people wanted to do REOs. Oh, that sounds better. A little higher there. Okay. In 2008, most of you guys, there's a huge stigma. Do your clients have a stigma through media outlets, through friends, through neighbors, that short sales don't close? Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody? You hear that stigma? There's a huge deterrent that clients don't want to work on short sales. Agents many times don't want to work on it. So we implemented our program for our portfolio transactions. We wanted to have managers like myself working with you guys, because we depend on you guys for the business. You guys are out there talking to the clients. You guys are out there door knocking, sending out letters, at coffee shops, in the living rooms, at barbecues with these clients. So we obviously depend on you guys. And at the time, we closed about 80 short sales in October of 2008. Or August of 2008. And that wasn't a lot. And I want to encourage you guys and actually commend you guys, because probably about 6 months later after we implemented this program, we were closing about 1,300 nationally, short sales a month through our portfolio program. And I think that's a credit to you folks, saying, okay, well, these are transactions that I will market and that I will go after and that I will list. And if I'm a selling agent, I'll bring my buyers to these properties. And that's the way to remove that deterrent. Customer benefits, in many cases, and this is feedback I get from you guys, because I depend on you guys for my feedback. I take that feedback to the big heads of Wells Fargo and I say, here's what the realtors are telling me. Here's the feedback I'm getting. And the number one thing that clients care about is an incentive. Am I right? Clients will do short sales if they receive an incentive. So we incentivize our clients within our portfolio transactions, and in a lot of cases, in our investor transactions through HAFA, to have incentives. Because many of these clients, what are they saying? I'll live in my house for free, and I'll stay here for free, and then eventually I'll get cash for keys, and then I'll move out. So incentivizing clients, whether it be $3,000 to $5,000, has really been beneficial, and that makes clients typically a little more motivated to move out of their property if they have $3,000 to $5,000. Has anybody noticed that when you tell them about incentives, they're more likely to want to do a short sale? Yeah? Okay. And that's the feedback I was getting from you guys. So there was a time where they wanted to close us down. So I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago in San Antonio, and I made sure that everyone within Wells Fargo knew that the feedback from the realtors is that this is what's moving clients to do short sales as opposed to letting the property go to foreclosure. So we're going to keep that implemented, doing incentives for our clients. Buyer benefits, obviously we have the customer benefits, and there's some other customer benefits that I want to touch on. Is a lot of our clients, what they're telling me and what they're telling you guys is that through a short sale they have a little more control. Okay? They're able to be in a situation where they don't have to worry about being evicted. They know the escrow close date. They don't have to worry about, most of these clients aren't aware of NODs. Have you guys seen that? They're not aware of what's going on, whether it's denial or they don't want to open their mail, whatever it is, they're not aware that there's an imminent foreclosure looming. And so that makes it difficult. That makes it difficult many times for them to know, and they have this fear and they don't have this peace of mind when they're dealing with the default process. And so short sales typically give them a little more control. And you know, the thing that I'm getting from clients as well, for the last 3 years, I've probably talked to 1,000 of these clients, and what they're telling me is there's embarrassment a lot of times with your property going to foreclosure. And they don't want to post on their front yard saying REO and so forth. And so, like I said, with a short sale, I'll ask you a question. Any of you agents, if your client asked you and you were listing a short sale not to put a post on the front yard, would you oblige? Exactly. In REO, that's not going to happen. In REO, there will be a post on the front lawn. Some benefits to the buyers is usually, typically, the clients that we have on a short sale, and I know a lot of you guys could probably argue this point, is typically the house is in better condition, okay, than an REO. The client knows that they want to take some ownership, they want to sell the property, and so they're taking a better care typically of the property and not trashing it. Our benefit as a bank is about 10% savings versus an REO. And that is an average. Obviously, you're going to have some where we're saving 5 and some where we're saving 20%. Typically, if we get it earlier on rather than later, we're saving more money in the default process. But that's a huge benefit to the bank. Junior lien holders are benefiting in the sense that if it goes to foreclosure, as many of you guys know, they'll typically get nothing. So in a short sale, we're pretty aggressive, especially with our portfolio transactions. And in many cases in our investor transactions, if we have a full market or fair market offer, that we're going to pay the investors what they want. Typically, HAPA has some, and I'm going to go into HAPA. HAPA has some guidelines on what they're paying junior lien holders. On our portfolio transactions, it's typically 10 to 20% that we're paying. And we're looking at, is it better than REO? We want to make sure it makes business sense. And if it makes business sense, then we're going to move forward and proceed with a short sale. Community benefits, you're in a situation where you have properties that are occupied. What do clients in neighborhoods with REOs always complain about? Anybody? Squatters? People vandalizing homes? Somebody living there during a short sale? You don't have vacant properties. And you're in a situation where the client's living in the property. You don't have to worry about people, whether it be homeless people or just criminals going into the property or so forth. Go to the next page. You know, I think some of the frustration with a short sale is you have so many participants. Is that some of your frustration? There's so many participants in a short sale. You have the homeowner, you have the homeowner's realtor, the listing agent. You have the buyer's realtor, the selling agent. You have the buyer. You have the servicer, the bank. And many times you have junior servicers and lien holders and judgments and IRS. And there's so many. And so I think the number one objective is, and when you're doing a short sale, my encouragement to you guys, whether you're doing a short sale with Wells Fargo, you're doing with B of A, it is a team effort. Part of my job, a huge part of my job, is to be a facilitator for you guys. Okay, utilize me. Okay, like I told you guys, I only handle the Wells Fargo portfolio loans. I'm going to touch into that again. But I also have ways of steering and escalating transactions to short sales within Wells Fargo, if it's a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac or an FHA or a private investor. So utilize me, and you're not going to know a lot of times if it's a portfolio Wells Fargo. So contact me directly. I have my business cards. I'll give you guys all before you leave. Contact me directly so I can determine whether or not it's one, and we'll identify if it's one that we can handle or not. Or if not, then we'll steer you towards the right direction of the department that can. And if you're having problems with your Wells Fargo investor transactions, utilize me. I can get it to the right people, the heads of those departments, to make sure your transaction gets expedited for you, okay? But I think the number one encouragement, like I said, is a team effort. So many transactions. You got the buyer's agents, seller's agents, everybody bumping heads. My job, I hope, is to bring you guys all together and be a sounding board and also help facilitate the transaction and make sure your guys' transaction closes. And I'll do my very best, and that's my job, to make sure your guys' transactions close. Go to the next page.